Hello, Jeffrey here again. The following video isn't near as complete as I would like to it have been. I found another international T340 on Craigslist, and I went with my brother-in-law to look at it, and he purchased it. This T340 has a Drott 4-in-1 loader. It comes with a Davis backhoe for the back, and a ripper for the back, and a counterweight for the back if you don't want to have the ripper or the backhoe on it for counterweight. It hasn't run in, we don't really know. It could be anywhere from a couple of years to 10 years. Anyway, the video shows us going to start it up, and we have to get everything loaded to haul it to my brother-in-law's place. And when things got a little hectic about trying to get everything loaded, I didn't get the videoing done I would like to have gotten done, because sometimes you have to worry more about getting the work you have to done in the time allotted than trying to get a lot of video work done. So I hope you enjoyed anyway. And I have to apologize, I still haven't figured out why sometimes the volume just goes up and down on its own. So I hope you enjoy it. Now, my brother-in-law saw it, checked the serial number, it's 59, so I'm figuring the 59 would be a 12-volt system. But when we got here, the cables were set up, the sizes, that it would be positive ground, and 6-volt would be positive ground, and 12-volt would be negative ground. So, until we can verify, I think it's 12 volts. Until we can verify, I'm disconnecting the generator and the charging system, and I'm going to hook it up as a negative ground 12 volt, because my T340, I don't know the year, but that's 12 volt. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to hook it up 12 volt with negative ground. And it looks like quite a bit of work trying to hook up my oil pump to it, and I don't think it's been that terrible long since this is run. So I'm just going to crank it and watch the oil pressure gauge, or see if it cranks first. I'm going to disconnect the line on the sending unit. Yeah, it's pumping a lot of oil out of the passageway where the oil pressure gauge hooks up. Plug the coil back in? Yeah, plug the coil wire in now. That's what I did Tuesday on that crane up in Ladysmith. I checked for spark, and then when I tried to start it, I didn't have the coil wire plugged in.
That wasn't on your YouTube video.
It's on. Yeah, I said it. Didn't you hear me say that? If you look closely.
No, I didn't.
I said, I'm trying to start it the first time, and when I'm editing it, and then later on I saw I had the plug wire. Still had the coil wire out, and I added it in there. When I'm trying for the spark, I added in, I'm not very good at getting in there. I says, if you look closely, the coil wire is unplugged. How long do you think it's been since you had it running? Well, the big drawback on this thing is the tracks, because there's no parts available for those. I know. Well, see, it runs. That didn't take much. I want to check for oil in the transmission, or water in the transmission and final drive. You can hear it's misfiring for some reason. Well, you heard it kind of spits and sputters. I'm going to take the carburetor off and look in there once. Well, I'm going to take the carburetor apart and see what it looks like in there.
Guess I can watch the YouTube video later.
Doesn't really look too bad in there. Well, everything is looking pretty good in there. It might have had some water in it. Now comes the fun part, putting it back on. That's not exactly easy to get started. Of course, I dropped one of the nuts in there. 5/16 is fine, so I gotta see if I can find one of them here somewhere. Fortunately, I've got a nut off a solenoid here. Well, after we got it running, it was misfiring, but we had to get the ripper and counterweight loaded and then put the backhoe on it to get the crawler loaded, and it seemed to be running good enough so that we could get this all done. After we got the counterweight and the ripper loaded and we were backing up to the backhoe, then it quit running and it wouldn't start again. So at this point I decided I had to pull the hood and the valve cover, and it had a stuck intake valve in it and a bent push rod on the exhaust valve on number 4. And after I got the valves freed up, made sure they'd open and close, and I actually just straightened the push rod because it doesn't have much spring pressure. Put the cover back on, and then it ran great, and we continued to hook up the backhoe, and you'll see in the video of us loading it all. So I apologize for not getting all that recorded, but sometimes you just have to get the work done instead of videoing. Well, we got everything back to my brother-in-law's place after, oh, let's see. First, a flat tire when we were leaving the woods must have hit a stump or something. And then, I don't want to admit it, on the way back, one of the lug bolts came off and one of the wheels came off the trailer. That wasn't good, but at least the tire didn't hit anything. And then when we were 2 miles from his house, then we had another flat tire. So it was quite an experience getting back home, but I was glad to get it back to my brother-in-law's place. And the next day, I went way up into the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, to look at a TD9, and which I purchased. And I'll finish up here with just a few pictures of it. It has a cable blade, and it has a double drum cable control unit on the back. There will be more videos coming on this TD9, but it might not be till spring. I'm going to try and get back up there this fall to get it running, but it's 6.5 hours from home, so depending on the weather and my time schedule, I don't know if that's going to happen. So thanks once again for watching.